start off on a Champions League note, because that's where the action is. That's where the semi-final pairings have been done. We have Inter Milan versus Barcelona, and then we have Arsenal taking on PSG. Oh boy. Let me start off though by ushering in the conversation with Real Madrid's poor season. Let's start off the conversation on that note, because during the week, all the talk was about remontada, closed roof, this, that. Real Madrid barely played any sensible football to be proud of, and they know it themselves. After the game, I've seen comments, the most honest of the comments being from Thibaut Courtois. He says that they all need to look themselves in the mirror again and ask themselves if they've been given their all as a team. He says we have individual talent, but we do not play good enough as a team, and that needs to change at some point. Also, unconfirmed reports I've heard that Ancelotti will be allowed to finish the Champions League and the Copa del Rey final, after which Real Madrid will probably let him step away for his interim manager to finish the season. Very interesting thoughts. Let me start with you, Adam. Like, out of the, let me just start with you on what you would do with Real Madrid if you were in their situation. Carlo, the league, poor Champions League exit, lost 5-1 on aggregate.
I think they should let Carlo finish the season, at least finish the season.
You won't coach up that boy.
Oh no, like I don't think there's anything that they will change at this point that will change the trajectory of the season, because apart from the Copa finals, it's a one-off game. Anybody can win that, but I don't think the way things have played out, I think they can put in a last push for the title, but I think Barca will just edge them like at the end, because if we are to go by any of the games we've watched them this season, the way they've been playing, I don't think they are magically going to improve within the last few
What do
games.
you think Real Madrid's biggest problem? I'm sure they have a few, but biggest problem has been
this season?
Yeah.
I don't think they helped themselves by adding Mbappe to the team. Yeah, it sounds crazy, but if I was reading something earlier on today, and all the times that they won after Carlo came back, when they played with the setup that had Jude in the 10 row and making those late runs into the box, and Vinicius like in the front two with Benzema.
Yeah.
So adding Mbappe has kind of like destroyed that balance that they had in the team. And if you look at their front line when they started against Arsenal, all the players are naturally left wingers. Yeah. So now you have,
in fact, even that's what most people, even Rodrigo is a left winger.
He's a left winger.
Ideally, he's playing on the right because they have to accommodate.
Because he's the one who is versatile enough to play on the right.
Yeah.
Because Mbappe is either you play him, down the middle, or you play him on the left. And Vinicius, if he's not playing through the left, he's not really of use to your team. He's not effective down the right.
Yeah.
So that means he will have to start down the left for Mbappe to play as a 9 and Rodrigo as the right winger. And it's kind of, there's no balance there. Because I'll use Barcelona's front three as an example. You have a left-footed player, Yamal, playing on the right. You have a left-footed player playing on the left in Rafinha. Then you have Lewandowski, who is a poacher. Rafinha, who is a bit of a runner. And Yamal, who is a creator. So there's balance in the front three. Three different profiles in the front three.
Yeah.
If you look at Real Madrid's front three, you don't really see that kind of balance there.
Two people want to play on the left.
and one is he understands team building dynamics enough to sacrifice to want to play on the left, to play on the right. So you have two people who want to play on the left and one person who is understanding enough to play out of position. It doesn't bring the best out of the front line. And the front line is what wins you games. So if your front line is not balanced, you more often go into games not in the best position. And two of those players in that front three don't really do a lot of pressing of the ball. So when you don't have the ball, you are virtually playing with 9 men. So it doesn't really help the balance of the team.
Interesting. Where do you stand on those who say that Ancelotti has not been tactically deep enough to help Real Madrid out of their shortcomings? People say they understand that.
Are we talking about this season?
This season.
Over the course of this time?
This season.
Yeah, I think
we are sticking to this.
Okay,
season.
This season I would agree. I believe he has to take a lot of the blame. I can argue that, okay, we spoke about it, that some of the players have done some strange things. We saw Rudiger and Militao was in the El Clasico that we reviewed. That's not Ancelotti. That's just them being dumb. You could see that was clearly them just not knowing what to do. But there's other moments. I believe, truth be told, he had to drop Rodrigo. and he was finding it difficult to do that. I don't know whether he had given him some assurances that he'd be more of a starter this season, that kind of stuff. But the truth is, it wasn't going to work to have Mbappe, Rodrigo, and Vinicius Jr., especially when two of them were not going to press. Knowing that two of them are not going to press, and Rodrigo is not even like some workaholic like that, you needed to have another midfielder in that team. It just had to be done. And that's what let him down. Because if you look at the teams he's had, they've been way more solid. I don't know how to explain, but that's what Edem was talking about, the balance. Look at how the midfield before, he knew that he had Toni Kroos to cool down the game, match the tempo. They don't have anyone there. That's why Ceballos has become so important to this Real Madrid team. But also, truth be told, Ceballos is not of that quality that, okay, I want to win the Champions League. Ceballos is going to start in midfield, with all due respect to him. He's a good player, but he's not of that level. So I think Ancelotti was too eager to fit these attackers into the team. He thought that, look, I can rely on Mbappe and Vinicius to kind of bail us out. But I don't think Mbappe and Vinicius ever got their chemistry right. I disagree with people who think they can't play together. I believe that if they have more time and they adapt, if one of them is willing to kind of devote himself to be in the middle, which I think should be Mbappe, devote himself to being a penalty box striker, I think it can work.
Does the front three do enough defensive work?
Well, that's why I was saying that Mbappe and Vinicius especially, they don't. And Vinicius, I can give the benefits of the doubt in terms of his pressing, because when he has the ball, the amount of energy and drive he shows, it will be difficult for him to also put that amount of energy and drive into pressing. So fair enough. But Mbappe has never pressed. And for me, that's ridiculous, because you, Mbappe, with all due respect, what have you achieved in football that you don't want to press? You're a great player, but seriously, press.
People always make the noise about him being a World Cup winner.
But the other players in that World Cup team, doesn't Griezmann press?
Griezmann presses.
You get what I'm saying? So for me, I think he himself is part of the problem. Like Edem is right, he's part of the problem, but he's part of the problem in the sense that I feel like he's not willing to apply himself as much as he should. I think he should. And I feel like he sees the type of player he sees himself to be and the player he is. They don't match up. Mbappe wants to drop deep, do touches and things. You are not Messi. Stay in the forward line, attack their back line, put pressure on them, drive them back, make them scared to push higher. When you drop deep and do those things, you are not even creative enough for me to even feel like you should be doing that. Seriously, stay up, worry the defenders, drive at them. Look at what Vinicius does. He drives at them, he's causing trouble, he's making them think about their game. I feel like the way Mbappe plays, he doesn't make defenders think enough, considering what he can do. I feel like if he focuses on the final third, he'll be much better. So I think two things need to happen. The next manager, he can't start Rodrigo, Vinicius and Mbappe, because there's not enough defensive work rate. And we saw it with PSG when Neymar and Messi were there with Mbappe. Three people didn't press. The talent didn't matter. Everybody could beat them. So either those three start pressing, which is very unlikely to happen, or the next coach drops one of them. And for me, I think that signals the end of Rodrigo's time at Real Madrid, to be very honest. Because I feel like he doesn't want to be on the bench. He's not going to want to just sit on the bench for the rest of his career for these two guys, because that's their conclusion. So
as long as they are there, you'll never be good enough to start.
Exactly.
And he's good enough to start.
He's good enough to start for most teams. So I feel like he should really be considering a move. But it's difficult to move away from Real Madrid, because in a sense, the only way from Real Madrid is down. So it's a very difficult one. But going from being number 3 in Real Madrid to being number 1 somewhere else or number 2 somewhere else can be an upgrade in a way. I think he should be a bit more open-minded about that. But I think this is the end of his career. And to be fair, I think if Ancelotti was there next season, he would adjust. He will learn from his mistakes. But the standards at Real Madrid are so high, I don't think you get that chance.
Coach, your final word on Real Madrid. How do they move forward from this? Why were they so bad against Arsenal?
Okay, before I address why they were so bad. I completely disagree with anybody who sees Ancelotti as the problem to this team. I have a very different opinion to that. I think the problem started from the boss himself.
I agree.
Don Florentino.
I agree.
Look, this Mbappe move should have never happened.
It was vanity.
It should have never happened, especially the way you say Mbappe disrespected Real Madrid
first,
at the first time,
and they swore they were not going to go after him.
They had gotten him, and then he went and renewed, and they swore they would never go after him again. What triggered that? Why would you? You see, Real Madrid by far was a better team tactically, as a team technically, proper balance without Mbappe last season. We saw them.
They won the Champions League.
They won the Champions League. So I look at that team. If you look at the season that Bellingham had, it was very clear that the young man was enjoying his role in the team. That role,
that's the best he's ever played in his life.
That's the best, and he was very effective and efficient at doing what he was doing. In my view, a team like Real Madrid should have looked at a player of the profile of Toni Kroos and bring that player in the team.
The controller.
They didn't look at that. They did not look at that. All the midfielders in that team are chaotic players.
No one has the temperament.
Nobody had, and you don't blame Ancelotti for that. At Real Madrid, we all know 70 to 80% is not the coach who buys the players.
Nope.
It's never the coach.
I just want to, because of Don Carlo personality and his pedigree, maybe I wanted to.
But I also dare say that, not even Casu, but on the midfield control, I think the midfield controllers are finished.
No, I think Real Madrid could have look at this boy. This boy at the one that Liverpool wanted to buy.
Subimendi.
Real Madrid shows up, he comes. He will never turn them down. You look in the world,
which is what we are hearing. They are now going to buy him.
That's what I'm saying.
There are new reports that Madrid are interested in getting Subimendi.
He was Arteta's baby and he was wrapped up already.
That deal that he's never signed any contract with Arsenal. Pre-contract. It's not there. So I looked at the team and I said, if they had brought somebody like that, Bellingham would have stayed in his role. We saw how Vinicius and Rodrigo were very, very effective. They were playing as two number 9s. So tactically, they were starting wide and they were diagonally moving into the box. So at that time, you didn't know who to mark.
Then Bellingham
was right behind them. When they couldn't make the diagonal runs into the box, he would go vertical, straight into the box, and then he scores. Now Mbappe comes with that ego. You remember we had a program. I said, look, Real Madrid just unveiled 1 month before Mbappe were saying that Vinicius Junior deserved to be the best player in the world. All of a sudden, Mbappe comes and per the aura and the atmosphere in the Real Madrid dressing room, everything, you just elevated Mbappe over Vinicius. That is what now brought the selfishness between the two players. If you look at them, technically they don't pass each other the ball.
The Real Madrid team, they play like they hate each other.
Yes,
I'm telling you. I've watched a few
months ago.
They literally play like they dislike
you said
each other.
I'm the best player of the world. I deserve to win the Ballon d'Or. 1-2 months later, somebody who has not proven anything in a white shirt comes in and you've relegated me. I'll show him I'm better than him. Vinicius, we all know, is not that terrific goal scorer. He won't score 20 plus goals. But go to the number of assists he had last season, compare it to this season.
It's gone down.
It's gone down. Now, when you look at Carlo Ancelotti, his tactical know-how, nobody questions that.
It's been questioned a lot lately.
I'm sure.
I've seen people try to question his whole career. Some people always try to make it look like the Champions League he has even won. He won because he had good players.
That's ridiculous.
That's very crazy for me.
But you see, everyone has good players at some point in the
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
If you don't have good players, you can't come to the Champions League.
That is factual.
Man,
you are questioning the most successful
football fans
in the Champions League.
These days, football fans act like a bad season is equal to a bad career or a bad coach.
If football fans are fickle sometimes,
why should Real Madrid think of parting with Don Carlo? because he's had one bad season.
It's the standard of Real Madrid.
No, who are they going for? What is the guarantee that you see?
The rumors are Jurgen Klopp.
And
I'll come to Abeku too.
Jurgen Klopp said he came to Liverpool 9-10 years. How many league titles did he win there?
One.
Only one. Only one.
They say they feel like he can match up to Hansi Flick.
He will be more chaotic. He will bring in that high octane, high intensity football. And remember, if you go and play that against Barcelona, they will just cut you open.
So let me just
can I just say something about what coach said? Coach is right about the personnel issues. I don't disagree, but I also feel like Ancelotti didn't help himself.
No, you've had.
I'm just saying that. I'm just saying that
on the issue of Rodrigo. You remember we've had this program here.
Yeah,
he's, to me, tactically, he's the best player among the front three. Any coach who comes to Real Madrid and decides to bench that boy, that will be the beginning of his end.
I think he will actually leave this summer.
Maybe it's because he will leave
because star power.
He's been leave because of that.
Yeah.
But if I'm the coach, Vinicius, Mbappe, Rodrigo, no more legend number one, your team cheated. Because that boy is more of a team player. Yeah. In fact, the selfishness between the other two is rather inducing some level of selfishness in the boy himself.
Yeah,
he was always passing the ball to Jude Bellingham when Bellingham was running through the midfield to go and score. Go and watch.
He always used to find him.
He always used to score equally. Last season he scored more goals than this season.
A lot of important goals.
This season, before the Arsenal second leg, he had gone 20 games, 1 goal, 1 assist.
Can you imagine? Last season he was scoring for fun.
Yep.
So then let's come to why they were so bad against Arsenal. Oh no more. Bano bawo keya Thomas Partey. Bano bawo keya Partey. Banoba womi keya Thomas Partey. Banoba womi keya Thomas Partey. Banoba womi keya Partey. Awo banoba womi keya Numbo Trameni
Zuku
Bellingham
Zuku Trameni Zuku.
You can mention that. Look, Partey. The controller once again was in charge.
Yeah, man.
You saw his. You see, it was this time around. It was not all about give it to me, I'm your boss, show respect. It was not all about that. This time it was about tactically positioning himself to read where the dangers were, and then just what? Deal with them. And I say, wow. If you are tactically brilliant and inclined, this one is not coach. This one, it is not coach. Within the system, watch him. How many times did you see him cross the center line on Wednesday or on Tuesday?
He barely did.
That was the tactical awareness, properly demarcated area.
Speak to Rudiger. He needs lessons in tactical awareness.
Tactical awareness. We are 3-0 up. My fundamental role is to protect my back line. Fundamentally. That's his role. How do I protect my back line? Is to be a better reader, anticipate better, step in and deal with the danger before it gets to them. Under pressure, I show up. They give me the ball, I play it simple to the forward players. And I was so impressed by the positioning of Mikel Merino. You see, he was not playing as a number 9. Arteta showed that, was fiend. His length. Arteta proved that. So it was more of a 4-man midfielder with Bukayo Saka and Martin. You remember I told you that these two players will be the most dangerous players on the day. And if Arsenal can keep them fit and get them involved, they will punish Real Madrid. They will punish Real Madrid. And look at the Real Madrid team. They started the game. Vim bam, vim bam, vim bam. What is vim bam, vim bam, vim bam? What is that? Yes, you are 3-0 down. You see, the moment they started using, we will close the Bernabeu, we will do a light out here, we'll do doom saw there, and then we'll put light here, and then there'll be bonfire, then there'll be boom. I said, look at these people. When was the last time Real as a team became so desperate in overturning a deficit and then resorting to such psychological tactics?
We'll close the roof.
90 minutes at
You
the
could tell they were
Bernabeu.
desperate.
You could tell. You see, they themselves brought so much
Pressure
Look,
on themselves.
If
I'm sure they were telling the players.
it was my team,
Tweet about the game. Put some
3-0 down,
What?
my players would have just gone silent, quiet. Nobody would read what we intend to do on the day. But typical of them, we are the most successful team in the league, in the Champions League. That arrogance, that disrespect, they showed it in the first leg and they paid for it. They showed it again in the second leg. This time around, it involved every Real Madrid supporter in Spain and out of Spain. Even here in Ghana, they were so arrogant that they were going to overturn that 3-0 lead. Once Partey is involved, how do you overturn a 3-0 lead? Inke manche patele inke baya ni
Let me give Abeku the last word on Real Madrid because we need to talk about the other teams. Abeku,
Quickly.
yes. Thoughts on all that Ancelotti departing and that Klopp coming in stuff. What do you make of that?
Klopp coming in, what he showed at Liverpool, I think he can get these lads to play quality football. The problem with Madrid now, I think, is everyone feels he's a superstar, or maybe above being a superstar. And you can see from the players when Vinny picks the ball and there's even space on his left, there's somebody on the run to give a ball to. He want to show that dominance. He want to behave as if he can get at you and dribble past you and what have you. Every individual, even from bench,
Mbappe, no shot on target.
what? Even from bench, Hendrik thinks he's the next Neymar, if you want.
He does.
You know, and he wants to misbehave on them, and they forget that this is the club that is guarded by horses when they have crucial games, and they're well even celebrated coming to the stadium to before even kicking the ball. They are celebrated prior to entering the Santiago Bernabeu. So for me, I think that they will need a manager who has the balls himself to manage ego.
Nobody does that better than the Don Carlo.
Respected, not positive. Not positive. But like you indicated, the entrance of Mbappe is splitted that front three, the initial front three. He broke them down because look, they had formed a partnership and they were gelling, and they seemed to understand themselves anytime they were on the pitch of play. But Mbappe comes and it's like someone is just going to bench.
Do you remember the game they played against Bayern Munich at the Allianz Arena, where Cruz picked up the ball and there was a decoy run from Bellingham? He didn't give the ball, and then he pointed to Vinicius, do the diagonal.
You don't see that in the Madrid setup.
This time you don't see that.
You don't see that.
Yeah.
So
it's Mbappe on Nambebia Galavanti everywhere.
Because he has a point to prove himself, and he in his thinking there's a lot of weight on his shoulders. What can I do to help this team? And Vinny is thinking that look, I'm not the one to come and assist you for you to get a goal. Get a goal, then you get a shine.
I've been here. I've worked my way up from the ground here, only for you to come and
So
that's the chain.
You get it. So for me, they will need that kind of manager who's done. Not much respect to him. But I think himself, if you watch him on the touchline, he's fed up.
I think if he had his own way, he would have
Maybe
left.
He's fed up.
He agreed to go to Brazil,
His
and
body
they forced
language
him to
shows
rescind his decision.
His body language shows it. You see, the guys pretend as if they are listening,
Yeah.
and then they come to the
pitch.
pitch, and it's like a rimworm, like everyone.
Chaotic.
And everyone wants to do what he or she, and they do not gel. You can clearly see that the coach will want them to play in a certain pattern, swing about 6 passes together, advance it in the position, third, and make sure you fetch the right person. But that link up from midfield. Now the midfield of Real Madrid looks weak. On paper, they look very attractive, but on the pitch of play, it's like
There's nothing happening.